Rackla Metals is a junior gold explorer, and we're looking in the Tombstone Gold Belt of Yukon and Northwest Territories. I'll be making some forward-looking statements. I am a geologist. After all, by the way, I'm the VP Exploration for Rackla. Scott Castleman is my name. If you want to read this in detail, it's available on our website. So the Tombstone Gold Belt traverses across Alaska, right through the Yukon, and then when it reaches the Northwest Territories, it swings south. It's the orange-colored rocks shown here, and it's fully within the Selwyn Basin. The blue-colored rocks are the Selwyn Basin sediments. The Gold Belt is defined by Cretaceous age granitic bodies, those shown here in red. And then within the Gold Belt are a number of gold deposits. The one to the far west in Alaska is the Fort Knox mine. And then over just east of Dawson are a series of deposits. Some have been mined, some are very recent discoveries. In total, they contain over 20 million ounces of gold. And then just in the last couple of years, Snowline Gold had made a new discovery on the eastern part of the belt called the Valley Deposit, and they within 2.5 years took that from 0 ounces in resources to over 7 million ounces. And when that occurred, that prompted Rackla to get involved in the belt. Rackla has staked and optioned a number of properties. Right at the Yukon NWT border, we optioned 3 properties. We've exercised those options. They're only subject to a 2.5% royalty right now. And then south of there, we staked a number of properties in the Northwest Territories. I think we have 8 in total now. All of them are focused on looking for that type of deposit that Snowline and the other resources in the belt are, which are known as reduced intrusion-related gold systems. And for the rest of the talk, I'm going to focus on a new discovery that we made on one of those claims that we staked. It's called the Grad property, shown here on the bottom right of the slide. The Grad property was tied up in regional land use planning. It's in the Saulteaux Dene First Nation traditional territory. And in late June of this year, a portion of that land became open again for mineral exploration. We'd been researching that part of the Northwest Territories, and there were really strong indicators of good potential for gold. So that's what drew our attention there. So zooming right into the Grad, there are 2 Cretaceous intrusions shown here in red. The government work that had been done as part of the mineral potential study in this region had highlighted abundant gold in the streams draining this region. And in fact, in the western Northwest Territories, this area shown on this image here was some of the highest gold in stream sediments. So that brought Rackla's attention into the area. And the only record of any historic exploration being done in the region was that small green dot just a kilometer to the east of that intrusion. And that was, they were looking for copper back in the day in 1972. That's the only historical record of mineral exploration in the area. So it's very much an underexplored area. And Rackla moved quickly to get in and take a look at where these gold anomalies in the stream sediments were. And on our first day on the property, we were very impressed with what we were seeing. So this image here shows some of that government regional stream geochem. The large purple squares are some of the highest, as you can see on the legend on the right-hand side, some of the highest gold values in that part of the Northwest Territories. And the little yellow highlighted numbers are gold grain counts from pan concentrates. And you can see the one there at 27 gold grains in a sample, 8 on the east side of Grad, and 3 on the west side of Grad. So that tells you that there is gold in the neighborhood. It's coming from somewhere. That really excited us, so when we first got in there, we did a 1-day prospecting program, and the crews were just amazed by what they were seeing. It was obvious, they went right into the intrusive rocks, which it appears nobody had ever looked at before. It was obvious from what they were seeing that the North Nahanni Pluton, which is centered in Grad, was a reduced intrusion style gold system. That prompted us to stake the claims. We staked over 7,000 hectares and then conducted talus fine sampling. These 2 images here show the talus fine samples that were done at the base of the rocky outcrop at the top of the talus. And if you look at the bottom of the image on the left, you'll see a zone identified as the bite zone. At bite, we identified a 550-meter stretch of talus fines that was running over 1 gram per ton. Remember, that is in the fines in the talus, that isn't an outcrop. And the image on the right is the bismuth values. You can see that that's also quite anomalous in that area. And bismuth is a key indicator of these reduced intrusion style gold systems, bismuth and tellurium, and that's where the name BITE comes from, BI for bismuth, TE for tellurium. So those numbers were very encouraging to us. The other thing about that 550 meter stretch of plus 1 gram was that the bismuth values were ranging from 286 to 2930, and that is significantly anomalous in this region. We've been active in that part of the Yukon Northwest Territories for 2.5 years, and we haven't seen anything quite as anomalous as what we're seeing at Grad. So we did a number of surveys following that, including prospecting, and some of the first samples that we collected down at BITE, 2 of those values are shown here. This is a photogrammetry. We did a photogrammetry survey a little later in the summer, and 2 of the first rock samples that we collected ran 92.4 grams per ton and 15.9 grams per ton. The 92 grammer also contained 2.2% bismuth. So those numbers for the first time really prospecting there, were very exciting. And as you can see, the cliff above is quite precipitous. We weren't able to scramble around on it, so all of our work was done at the base of the cliff. We followed up those 2 samples with additional prospecting and rock sampling, and you can see the 92 and the 15 grammer are shown here, but some of the follow-up rock sampling around it. We continue to get multi-gram analyses from our rock samples around that area, and later in the summer we put in a channel sample, a trench that was 40 meters long, 38 meters of which ran 1.8 grams per ton gold. We basically covered as much as we could going up the hill, scrambling without requiring climbing apparatus. This, I'm going to do a little 3D rotational animation of the site. I'll start that now. So you can see we're looking now from south to north. The BITE showing is there at the bottom. You can see the white line is the trench that we sampled. Basically looking at the full width of the 550 meters of anomalous gold values. As we zoom into this image, one of the things to pay attention to, you'll see all of those lines that we've drawn, which are different structural orientations that we observe, but you'll notice the fractured nature of the rock and the red iron staining of the rock, which is an indication of sulfide minerals weathering out. So what we're seeing at the base of the cliff, where we're getting all these spectacular numbers, there's no reason to believe that it doesn't continue up the cliff face and up to the top of the ridge. As we swing around now, we'll swing around to the west side and look at that mountain from west looking east. While it's coming around, you can see some of the terrain up there. It's pretty spectacular. And you can see the thickness of that deposit. So I've shown all of the samples that we were able to collect out there this year. So we weren't able to get anything yet on that western side. And then we'll swing around to the north side here. You can see that structural pattern that we see at the south continues right through the mountain and all the way to the north side. So from the BITE showing to this north side of the mountain is about 1.3 kilometers. There's plenty of room to find something sizable in there. And as we zoom in closely, you'll notice that intense fracture pattern that is highlighted by the lines that we've drawn there. That's an important feature when you're looking for reduced intrusion related gold systems, because those fractures are where your veins come into, your sulfide minerals and your gold. So that generally is an indication. The higher the fracture pattern, the larger the veins, the higher grade you're going to get. As we zoom out, it might be difficult to see here, but there's a small red square down at the bottom. That sample, we did very little work on the north side. We plan to get back in there next year, but that sample was also anomalous in gold. It contained 2.9 grams per ton gold and 3% bismuth. So the chemistry that we see at BITE looks like it's occurring to the north as well. Now we'll zoom up to the top of the ridge, and you'll notice that it's very narrow and precipitous. We didn't get up and sample it or prospect it last year, but that'll be one of the things that we want to do when we get out there in this coming summer. And then we'll swing back around to BITE as we come down here. And again, important things that we see there are that the structures that appear to be hosting the gold at BITE go up through the mountain, across the ridge, and down to the north. The distance between BITE and that northern sample is 1.3 kilometers. The width across the anomaly here on this face is 550 meters, and the distance from the valley bottom to the top of the peak is 400 meters. So there's plenty of room for us to expand on our results from this year. And now, just as we finish off on the video, it'll swing around to the eastern side of the hill, and you can see some of the talus fine sampling in there that we did. In total, I don't think I'd mentioned that we only had 10 days on the property. Every day we went out there, we were amazed by the results that we were finding. And our plans going forward for this next year, we'll be focusing at Bight and all the way around that mountain. We are going to hire some climbers to climb that face, to map it, to sample it. And we plan to bring in an excavator for trenching, a RAB drill for some rapid air blast drilling, and then by July, normal season, working season up there is mid-June to about the end of September. We'll be drilling by July, and hopefully we'll continue to find some good numbers coming out of there. So our share position, we got 107 out right now, fully diluted with warrants and options is 154. If those warrants and options come into the money, that'll bring in about $10 million. We had cash in the bank right now. By the time summer starts, we should have a good $3 million left. And this map on the right shows our location. There's reasonable access to our camp. We'll be renting a camp at the Howards Pass mine site and working out of there for this year. And it's about a 35-kilometer helicopter flight to Grad, which you see at the top right image there. So it's a very early stage exploration project. But what we're seeing there is been very impressive, and we're very excited to get out there and follow it up in 2025. Thank you very much.